Welcome in, everybody. I am here with my friend Mike Renner over at CBS Sports, the Pushing the Pile podcast, as well as Mike's been doing scouting for the Shrine Bowl this year, which makes him the perfect partner for today's show. We're going to get a little download on the 2026 NFL draft. And then because we're both cheeseheads and I wasn't able to have Mike on for the Packers deep dive this summer, we're going to talk a little Packers, maybe what's wrong with them, what's not wrong with them. We're going to get that in at the end of the show. But how you doing, Mike? Good to have you back.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is like our first piece of draft content for the season. This is right around the time where I start to think about the draft, and I think a lot of my viewers are on that schedule as well. There's definitely a lot of diehard draft fans that don't necessarily need the primer on the draft that we're going to do here today, but I think most of us are very much looking forward to hear from you. Just kind of the top 2 or 3 guys for each position group. Doesn't necessarily have to be like your top 2 guys ranking wise, but maybe your some guys you really want to talk about here that we can really look forward to watching as we approach the draft here. So let's just get started with the quarterback room or quarterback position. And I know heading into the year, it was like kind of this big cluster of unknown guys was kind of my sense of what we were looking at here. Who are a couple of guys that have kind of pulled through the woodworks here that might be in those first round conversations for teams?
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys who have to come out, right? The guys, Drew Aller, Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, like those who were like names preseason, they're not going to be there. They're not going to be there. They are going to be there. No one's going to draft till day 3. Gotcha. They just did not have the seasons that we thought, had hoped if you are an NFL team. But I think 2 guys, one who really wasn't on the radar, one who was but transferred in Ty Simpson of Alabama, who's a first-year starter, and Fernando Mendoza of Indiana, who transferred from Cal. That is who I expect to be your top 2 when it's all said and done. And Dante Moore from Oregon is very intriguing. He's been exceptional this season. I think he comes back, truthfully. I think he will be back at Oregon next year or back in college football next year. But it's those 2 guys at the top. I honestly have really close grades on them. I am very impressed in different ways with both. With Mendoza, he's just so cerebral. I think he just gets the mental aspect of the position. And while he's not uber toolsy, he has more than a good enough arm, and he's 6'5". He sees the field really, really well, and he can be a very good facilitator at the NFL level. And then Ty Simpson, I think he has a little bit more of an athlete, a little bit bigger arm, a little bit better feet, a little bit more nimble. And for me, he's passed every test in the SEC. You had kind of the rough week 1, everyone on Alabama did against that Florida State team. But since then, it seems like he's kind of the only thing keeping this offense afloat. Their running game hasn't been great. Their defense hasn't been up to the Alabama standard, but he has week in and week out just looked the part for me. And with each passing week, he seems to climb higher on my board. So very much a fan of what he's already put on tape and what he could be at the next level.
Do you think both those guys are pretty well on track for like top 10 for the draft? Or what are you thinking? Obviously things change and stuff, so I'm not going to hold you to it, but yeah, where do you think it's going with that?
I'd be surprised if Mendoza isn't at this point. He's only gotten better with more talent around him. He's proven it for 2 years now. I mean, his tape was really good at Cal last year. It kind of felt like watching Daniel Jones at Duke, where it's just like, I don't know what you want him to do. It's just such a poor supporting cast from offensive line, receiving talent there. So once he got that, I mean, Indiana has a couple of NFL receivers, a couple of NFL offensive linemen. Once he's on par, basically from a talent perspective with everybody he's going against, well, he's got the best stats in college football. I think he leads college football in touchdown passes this year. He's just been excellent, and in crunch time situations has looked the part as well. So I feel very confident saying he's a top 5 to 10 quarterback already. Whereas Simpson, each passing game is kind of like a new test. When you only have 9 starts under your belt, the next one could be, if it looks really bad, the next 2 look really bad. It's like, okay, well then this guy's a completely different guy.
For sure.
I don't foresee that happening though. I would be surprised if either of them fall out of the top 10 at this point, just given the need at the position and given what they put on tape.
Yeah. Does Indiana play Ohio State on the regular season, or would that be
They don't. Big Ten championship though, I think they're both pretty much locked in for that.
Oh, that'll be sweet to see Mendoza, how he does against
the
Matt
only thing that
Patricia and
sucks
company.
though is like, yeah, it's going to be nice to see, but with the way the playoff format is now, they might not empty the tank. You know, you're not going to leave it all out there from a schematic standpoint if you're Curt Cignetti, Indiana's head coach.
Yeah,
and that's the one thing I don't like about the new playoff format is it kind of makes some of these regular season games moot. And yeah, you'd rather have the 1 seed if you're Indiana, if they win that game, than get the 1 seed. But you really care more about winning the playoff.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's talk some running backs. I know Jeremiah Love, your boy, Golden Domer. You can talk a little bit about him, but who are some of the other backs that have maybe snuck into your sights here for the draft?
It's really not a great running back class. I think that's the first thing I want to say about this class is Jeremiah Love, and then I might have no other back in the top 75 on my board. And now I value running backs a little less than most, but like I don't love this running back class. I'm just going to say it. It's just not good. I think the two guys that have really intrigued me this year on tape are Jonah Coleman from Washington and Justice Haynes from Michigan. Two different kind of backs. Coleman's more of a stout power back, but he's not really a power back. He's 5'9", 228. So he's got this crazy, Michelin man sort of build. And he's so good. Like his contact balance, awesome. When he's like out in space, he's impossible to tackle for cornerbacks. There's just like nowhere to go to hit him, to bring him down. But he's not like a true grinded out between the tackles sort of runner. That's why, like, if he was, because he's a pretty good athlete, he would be easily a top 75, top 60 guy. But I haven't really seen that from him consistently. Whereas Haynes is kind of different in that he is such a power runner, but he's like 205. And I think he's banged up right now, if I'm not mistaken. But he's rocked up, Alabama transfer, got real deal home run speed, runs really hard. I think he has an NFL translatable body. Wouldn't surprise me if he ends up as RB2 in the class. But those are probably the best like complete backs at 2-3. But I think where this class is most impressive and where there's actual talent that I want to see is kind of in the scat back range. There's a lot of guys who are kind of are running back by committee, your more space backs. And I would call, Travion Henderson, I would have put in that category last year.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of back I'm talking about. And it's actually Jeremiah Love's running back at Notre Dame, Jadarian Price, who's kind of in that mold for me as more of a get him the ball out in space, run him on certain concepts. You'll be super productive. Wake Forest, Damon Claiborne is in that mold for me as well. And then NC State's Hollywood Smothers. Like there's three backs that super dynamic in space, good speed. You're just not going to give them 25 carries at the NFL level.
Hollywood Smothers. Unbelievable name. That's like a Madden auto-generated.
Yes. It feels like it should be a cornerback, though. Like he should have been a cornerback. Hollywood Smothers is an all-pro cornerback.
Yeah, or like a linebacker, too. I could see
the
Smothers. He's smothered by Smothers. What's kind of like the quick pro comp on like Jeremiah Love? I
think Jahmyr Gibbs is like your hope. And that's what I think that is going to get him, is what gets him drafted highly, is just Gibbs' success. And now would Gibbs be as successful if he was like, running behind the Browns offensive line right now? Probably not. I mean, I think he gets a lot of run by being on a very good offensive line. But when you have a very good offensive line, that's exactly the back you want. You want the guy who's going to hit home runs. So he is that type of back.
All right, let's talk some wide receivers. Is this a good wide receiver class? And who are some of your favorite guys there?
I think it is. I think it's got more first rounders than I anticipated. I came in with 1 first round grade. I think I have 4 right now. It's got a lot of speed. That's like real functional speed on day 2. There's a lot of speed and slot guys. That'll be interesting to sort out on day 2. But the 4 first round guys I see right now are Jordan Tyson from Arizona State, I think he's a little reminiscent of Justin Jefferson just in the way he moves.
I hear that a lot.
Jefferson's a little bit longer, a little bit speedier, but Tyson, like similar sort of all around gifted athlete. Carnell Tate from Ohio State, who's just been unbelievable this year. I mean, his efficiency numbers, his like passer rating when targeted is almost a perfect passer rating this year. He's caught over 80% of his targets on like 16 average depth of target. He's just like an awesome deep threat with great ball skills, big long wingspan. He's kind of sandwiched in between Emeka Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith, and like those two guys are obviously Egbuka's killing the NFL. Jeremiah Smith's probably the best receiver maybe ever in college. But like Carnell Tate's a top 10 pick. He's going to be a top 10 pick. This guy is that good. So Ohio State just
it's
insane
crazy
what you're doing with wide receivers. Those two. And then I would also put Chris Brazzell in the mix. He's been a big riser for me in this year's class. 6'5", probably going to run you the low 4.4s, high 4.3s, and can go up and get it. I just love the way he moves at 6'5". It's more of a back end of the first rounder. Those two guys are like top 10. He's more late first, but man, he's been awesome in that mold. And then the other
I remember watching Michael Pratt at Tulane, and I was like, who the hell is, I don't remember what number he wore, but like, and then I saw he transferred to Tennessee, and I figured he was going to blow up, but it took him a little bit. But I'm excited to watch him because he was one of those like way too early, like saw him when he was a freshman, and I was like, this guy looks different. So I'm excited to watch him.
And then Mekhi Lemon's the last one. And it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't go in the first round because he is smaller side. It's going to be like 5'10", not a huge wingspan, but he's just like all around good wide receiver. He's your like prototypical slot who gets open at will, catches everything, will block, will go over the middle of the football field. Just if you need that reliable guy, he's that. So those four kind of different molds for all four, but all four are damn good receivers.
All right. And then it seems to me it's kind of like a one tight end class. Is that accurate, or are there other guys?
We'll see. I actually think there's more than just, I assume you're talking about Kenyon Sadiq, Oregon.
Yeah.
And he's not a perfect prospect in his own right compared to the two guys we saw last year, the guy we saw the year before that. I'd put him clearly behind all of those guys.
Okay.
They were all just more polished. Like you saw Bowers, you saw Warren, you saw Loveland coming out, and you're like, easy projection. They can run routes at a really high level. Their volume is insane. They're doing things that just you have to do at the NFL level. Sadiq has so much of his production is still screen based. He's not a complete route runner. He is smaller framed than most tight ends. I think he's going to be like 6'3", which again is putting you into a different sort of category of tight end, but he blocks his ass off on the move. He's super explosive. He's exceptional with the ball in his hands. Given how many teams want to play two tight ends nowadays, it feels like a slam dunk that he's a first rounder and kind of like your tight end two, or like, that movable tight end.
The Brock Bowers role.
Yes. Yeah. But I do think that Max Clare out of Ohio State, now he's no guarantee to come out. He has another year of eligibility, but he's a Purdue transfer. Stats aren't great, but he feels more like a NFL polished route runner watching him on tape, whether it was at Purdue or Ohio State. So I think he's a top 50 to second round sort of guy at tight end. And then I would also throw in Michael Trigg from Baylor, who I believe leads all tight ends in college football in receiving yards. Guy is just a freak of nature. I think he's got like almost 11-inch hands. He's got almost a 7-foot wingspan. So his catch radius is just stupid. He has a lot of concentration drops, but also his highlight reel of catches this year is unbelievable. Moves like a wide receiver. He just kind of still has a wide receiver-ish body, still skinny.
Sure.
A little bit on the older side, has kind of bounced around. One of those guys bounced around college football. Yeah. We'll see where he ends up, but from a talent perspective, he's right up there with anyone in this class.
Sounds like you're describing David Njoku there with the build.
Yeah, honestly, like that's kind of the frame. It's just like, oh my gosh, he can do ridiculous things with that frame.
I'm such a sucker for like the Jackson Haas type especially with the heavy personnel. With your Shrine Bowl scouting, have you seen any like awesome blockers down the board that I can look forward to watching?
Oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name right now. It's actually Ohio State's backup tight end, is the best blocking tight end I've seen in this draft class.
Jelani Thurman. I've got the board up right here. Is that
No,
it?
it's
No.
not him. It's let me see. It's Will Kaczmarek. I
Oh
think
wow,
that's
yeah.
it.
He's 888 on the mock draft database.
Not surprised. I mean, he's
Yeah.
backup tight end in college, but
Gotcha.
wouldn't surprise me if he gets drafted because he gets after it in the running game. That's why he like plays a good amount for Ohio State. He is grade A run blocker. But he's not as, Jackson Hawes was still a little bit better athlete, a little like capable in the receiving game. This guy's not complete zero, but if you're drafting him, it's because he can block.
We don't need to spend too much time on O-line, but just kind of like the, 10,000 foot looking down at the draft class. Like, do you think it's a good year to get O-linemen or maybe not so much?
Depends on where you want. I don't think there's going to be an offensive tackle that I say is a top 10 pick, sort of offensive tackle.
Okay.
One might end up top 10 on my board because there's not a ton of like top end talent. But last year, I Membu and Banks, I was like top 10 for sure. Campbell, I was like, if you really wanted to, I thought at guard, actually, he could be like worthy of top 10 pick. But you're seeing even him at tackle has been very good too. But I thought last year, top end class, I'm like, there's 3 guys.
Yeah.
Draft them, you'll be happy.
You even had the Simmons factor last year too.
And that, yeah. This year, there's some guards I can say that about. There's no tackles I can say that about. It's not a great tackle class, but it is a very good guard class. So you might see tackles last a little longer. There might only be 2 or 3 true tackles to go in the first round, but there are guys like Spencer Fano from Utah, Caden Proctor from Alabama, who I think are going to be better guards in the NFL than they would be tackles. And then there's actual true guards right now, like Vega Ioane from Penn State and Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon, that I think will also be first rounders. So you could see upwards of 4 guards going in the first round. And so it's a good year to need a guard. I think there's some high-level guard prospects, just not really any high-level tackle prospects.
Cool. All right. What about the D line? Is this considered kind of the strength of the class, or has that kind of changed? Because I feel like heading into the year, that was kind of how it was discussed, maybe, but I could also be wrong about that.
There's not really a strength of the class.
All right. I just am making shit up on the fly.
It has lost some luster to me over the course of the season. So guys, one guy really blew up. I think Ruben Bain really blew up from Miami. He was in that top group, top 10 player on my board heading into this year. He is now the number 1 player on my board. I think he's a stud. Just draft him. Great player. After that, everyone has warts or is a project or is a positional hybrid guy that you'll probably see 5 edge guys go first round still, but I wouldn't that's kind of par for the course in the NFL.
Right.
5 edge guys is like the baseline. So after him, I think Arvell Reese is probably your next best edge prospect after Ruben Bain, that is, from Miami. But he plays linebacker, and he really doesn't rush off the edge that much. You'll probably see some highlights from him rushing off the edge, and they look impressive, and I think he can be a very good edge rusher. But we even compared to like Micah Parsons, I feel like coming out, you just get fewer true dominant pass rushing reps on his tape. He just doesn't do it much. A lot of times he's actually spying are some of his best pass rushing reps.
Yeah.
But I think he can. And so much so that like I'd draft him in the top 10 based off because he's 6'4", 240 plus, probably going to run low 4.5s to 4.4s and has like 34-inch arms. So that's more.
Oh, that's nice. He's got the long arms because like I was thinking of Jalen Walker, but he had shorter arms, and even Walker's like looked pretty good in the role they're using him in. So I wonder if that's helping Reese's stock a little bit too.
So like all the recent linebacker to edge guys, whether it's Parsons, whether it's Abdul Carter or Jalen Walker last year, they've all looked more like linebackers, right? Reese looks more like an edge, and so it's wild that Ohio State never just like put him there to begin with, but he really does look more like an edge. So it's very easy to see that translation, but did not play there as much as Carter or Walker did last year to really get a handle on what he'll be. After that, it's like TJ Parker from Clemson's been really disappointing this year. I think he's more of a late first rounder because he was never super toolsy. Keldrick Falk from Auburn's been a little disappointing this year. He honestly looks more like a defensive tackle now to me because he's 6'6", 285, which that's not an edge anymore in the NFL. David Bailey's probably been one of your biggest risers from Texas Tech. Would not surprise me if he ends up a top 10 pick because he's going to test off the charts. I think he leads college football in sacks, leads college football in pressures. A lot of it is just him running around, less athletic offensive lineman, but honestly, that's what a lot of pressure is in the NFL nowadays. It's like, hey, a blitz is coming and offensive line doesn't know where you're coming from. And can you just get home in a hurry? And he can. So wouldn't surprise me if he ends up a top 10 pick, but it's kind of after that, there's a lot of either undersized or unproductive. So it's not a great edge class. I'll say it's probably about an average one.
Okay, cool. Any linebackers stand out to you? It's a tough position.
The strength of the class. And now that's why I say like there's no strength of the class, because if linebacker is strength of the class, it's not no skill draft. It's not going to behoove you, or it's not going to incentivize teams to probably draft him earlier. But we could see, I could see 3 to 4 linebackers go in the first round this year, because it's like I said, these guys are good, and because maybe with the way teams are playing defense in the NFL nowadays, how blitz heavy they are. If you have linebackers that can actually rush the passer, like a edge, or like even not necessarily like an edge, but at a high level, that are good blitzers, then maybe they're worth a first round pick. If you're really going to send them on 50% of their of their snaps and coverage or on pass play. So, Arvell Reese obviously is included in that, but I'd probably call him an edge right now. Sonny Styles, his teammate at Ohio State, I think he was top 10 in Bruce Feldman's freaks list. He was a former safety who's now 240 and still runs a 4.4. Great tackler too. CJ Allen from Georgia. To me, he's like a mini Jalen Walker. They have the same build. They play the same way. It's just he definitely can't play off the edge. He's not big enough, but everything else is a lot like how Jalen Walker plays. And then I love Jake Golday from Cincinnati. And the guy, he started actually his career at edge rusher, has moved off the ball, gonna run, moves like a safety, even though he's 240. I think there's a chance he could end up first round, a top 50 pick out of UC here this year.
Nice. Kind of sounds like oh God, who's the Chiefs linebacker? I'm completely blanking on one of my Leo Chanel. God, how can I forget his name?
So underdrafted.
One of my favorite players in the league. I can't wait to see how much Chanel gets paid.
I want him. I just want him to play full time. It sucks that they use him in that specialized role. But
should have been a Packer. Could have been Quay Walker. All right, secondary. What do we got there? You're killing it, by the way. You're absolutely killing it. This is great.
So, corner, where it's an okay class. The best corner that I saw on tape this summer, and the best tape I've still seen at corner, is from a guy who hasn't played this year, in Jermon McCoy from Tennessee. His sophomore tape, I'd put right up there with guys like Patrick Surtain, guys like Derek Stingley, who have been top 5 picks. That's what it looked like, him on tape last year. Hard to say what's going to happen if he doesn't play a snap this year until it comes out. Antonio Cromartie is the guy I keep bringing up with him, because he didn't play his last year at Florida State, still picked 19. He didn't test great though, pre-draft. He was still, his injury was a little closer to, so he wasn't fully ramped up. Maybe McCoy will, if he gets a full spring of workouts, potentially still ends up a top 10 player if he's really balling out, because his tape again was that good. We just don't know. He tore his ACL last January. After him, it's a pretty big gap like that. There's probably not another guy I would take in the top 20 in this class. Okay. But then you get a pretty sizable group from 20 to 50 that I think will come off the board. It's Avion Terrell from Clemson, AJ Terrell's brother. Interestingly enough, I've been calling him the TJ Watt to AJ Terrell's JJ Watt, in that he's smaller, more compact, plays a little bit different of a position, because
AJ's 4 years apart.
Yeah. AJ's longer, thinner, whereas AJ Terrell
Yeah,
is. And
I
then
like it.
Avion's like shorter, squattier, and like a little more
Yeah.
physical. He plays like he's like more of a tackler. He could probably play a slot at a high level in the NFL. Good player, but just like going to be 5'10", hard to go top 20 when you're that size.
Sure.
Love his game though. And then after him, there's a few other guys who are just in that mix. No one's really separated themselves, in my opinion. I think Mansour Delane from LSU, he's playing the best, but he might be like a Tyrion Arnold where he's going to run like a 4.5 something. He's not going to like his testing is just going to be average. And that's just going to be a tough sell for a top 20 pick at cornerback. I really like Colton Hood from Tennessee, the other Tennessee cornerback. He's transferred from Colorado. He's been very impressive this year. Brandon Sissy from South Carolina has been very impressive. Gosh, I'm blanking on. There's one more I thought I had in my top 50. Oh, then D'Angelo Pons, who is truly tiny. He is 5'9", listed 5'9". Who knows how tall he's going to be? But he might be like the best. His tape is like the best of anyone in the country. His tape is awesome the past 2 years at Indiana. But he's 5'9", 175. But he's like my guy. I'm just like, dude, he keeps balling out. He shuts down like real prospects when he goes up against them. No one really gets the better of him. At some points, guy might just have it.
Yeah, Marcus Jones.
Yeah, one of those. 100%.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. All right. And what about safety to wrap things up?
So safety, I guess it's probably a good class, just given safeties don't usually go first round, and there will be a first round safety. Caleb Downs from Ohio State's awesome. I think the one knock is going to be he's not going to be big. He's Josh Downs' brother. Josh Downs is 5'9", right? 5'8.5". I think he's listed at 6 foot. He's probably going to come in like 5'10.5", 5'11".
Okay.
But it's just so good. I mean, he moves like his brother, but at safety hits like a brick, just instinctual. Started as a true freshman for Nick Saban in Alabama, just, ticking every single box you can tick.
Yeah.
So I'd draft him top 10. I mean, he's that good. And with what defense want to do in the NFL with 5 DBs, how much you need guys that can play the run from deep, he can do that. I think he'll end up being a top 10 pick. After him, there's no consensus safety too. I think the class is really up in the air. One other guy snuck into my top 50, but it was right at the back end, and that's Genesis Smith from Arizona. He may not even come out. He's a redshirt sophomore, I believe. So he may choose to come back to school. But Dylan Thieneman from Oregon will be in the mix of second to third round. He's super rangy, great in coverage, just a little thin, struggles as a tackler sometimes. He's a Purdue transfer. I would also put AJ Halsey from LSU in that sort of second, third round, somewhere on day 2 mix. And then I also have Keontae Scott from Miami in that sort of mix. He's probably your best guy who plays the slot right now.
Gotcha.
Slot at Miami, and I think he's a day 1 sort of starter in the slot. So he's in that. Like again,
is he a bigger slot or more of like a
what is he? He's not super big. There's no, unfortunately, Nick Man worry in this year's draft class. They're all kind of traditional safety size. I think he's like in the 6 foot 200 range.
Okay. Not tiny though.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. That gets me a little more ready, a little more excited to start watching these guys. Great work. I think we got like probably 50 names from you throughout all that. So
there you go.
Nailed it. All right, let's step aside a little bit, talk a little Packers. So it's been an interesting season for Green Bay. Very high highs to start, and then it's been, I would just say, a rocky road since about week 3. Where do you still have the Packers as a tier 1 team, a tier 2 team? What's your kind of panic level on the season right now?
They're a tier 1 team if they play another tier 1 team.
Yeah.
They're a tier 4 team if they play another tier 4 team. Yeah.
Very well said.
It's funny. They've covered 1 game since week 2. They've just like the hot start, and then they have not been what everyone thought they should be. But I think they still could be. And now they also have covered 1 game since they lost Jaden Reed is another way of looking at that. And I think that's the bigger thing, of the bigger storyline, underrated storyline of this season for the Packers. is that they're not passing the way they're like neutral game script, run pass decision making is so flipped on its head from the Aaron Rodgers era. Like they used to, when they had leads, when they were ahead, they used to try to bury teams with Aaron Rodgers. The run game was nice. It was a nice compliment, but they were going to try to win games with the passing game. This year, they're like comfortable grinding it out. They're comfortable trying to play tight games. They trust their defense to a fault, I'd say.
Yeah.
And you look at their 3 losses, all by 3 points. And it's just easy to point to the fact that they just never put their foot on the accelerator in games that were imminently winnable. You know, they're still 3 quarters into that Eagles game, doing the same stuff, you know, running the same offense they were in the first quarter, and they hadn't scored a point yet. It's like, why not change something? So I think that's the biggest storyline. And I'm just curious to see what the offense is going to look like when it has Jaden Reed, Marcus Golden, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah.
Because we really truly haven't gotten to see that offense yet.
I think there's a lot of pressure on LaFleur to kind of like keep proving that he is who we think he is, in the sense of like exactly what you said, where he's trusting the defense a little too much to a fault. They've been trying to do, like last year, they were such an effective early down run team. This year, they're not. They are really like not the run game that they thought they were going to be heading into the year. And I don't think LaFleur has really adjusted to that at all. I think the Giants game, we saw a little bit more aggressiveness with the passing, and that they were rewarded for it. I think with Love having a pretty good game,
which is funny because that's the worst run defense in the NFL this year. But
yeah, for sure. But I think they've been at their best when the second half flips and it's either tied or they're down, and it's like, okay, we actually have to go drop back pass, open up the playbook a little bit, spread things out, because the O-line's pretty good in pass pro for the most part, but the run blocking, I think, is really struggling. Josh Jacobs isn't quite what he was last year too, and I mean he like kind of carried the offense for large parts of last year. They haven't had that, but I think LaFleur has really struggled to realize who this team is and what their best path to winning games is. And I think, putting your foot down, passing more. The Jordan Love haters hear that and they're like, what are you talking about? Like he's a turnover machine. It's like, okay, he might make a couple sloppy mistakes, but generally those are overrated. The down-to-down passing for Green Bay is by far their best offense. And especially with Tucker Kraft out, that takes away from the early down stuff even more. So yeah, like you said, getting these receivers back healthy, I think if LaFleur can open things up and rediscover a new kind of version of this passing game, they can absolutely be a bona fide Super Bowl contender.
It's actually funny you brought up the turnover machine thing. I actually, going back and looking at the stats, this was from a few weeks ago, but I feel like it still plays. His interception rate thrown to Christian Watson is almost 4 times his interception rate thrown to anyone else combined. It is. I'm not sure he's turnover machine, but he trusts Christian Watson. He's a turnover machine with Christian Watson.
So it's Christian Watson's fault. But he's making plays though. Watson looks great. I mean, Watson does. He's kind of saved. What'd you say?
Watson has looked better. Now he still struggles tracking balls downfield, but like his hands have been so much better this year.
Yeah, until last week. What about the defense? Do you see certain issues there that could show up as a pretty big issue in the playoffs, or are you not as worried about it?
Yeah, I do worry, and I think you've seen a little bit. They're DTs. They have probably the lightest defensive tackle room in the NFL right now. We have really 3 guys that you could even trust out there in Wyatt, Brooks, and Kobe Wooden. After that, it's day 3 in UDFA rookies in Brinson and Stackhouse. Like it's not a good DT room after that whatsoever. You don't want those guys out there, and they try to avoid playing them at all costs. So that's the worry, is when someone can really ball control, try to keep those guys on the field, grind out in the running game. I think you saw You just see them as the game wears on. You see the sort of push. You see the line of scrimmage start moving more, and that's my worry. Is just how much they're having to play those DTs, and they're already kind of very light and not double team eaters whatsoever.
Yeah, I was it was hard to be disappointed in Gutekunst after the Parsons trade, but it was kind of like a little bit of like, wait, there's no follow-up move to like make a phone call about like a DJ Jones or, take a 6th-round pick and like get like a big veteran DT that can just eat up some early downs. Cause it's like a handful of like converted edge rushers playing inside, Devontae Wyatt and a couple of late round Georgia guys. It's like, really? That's the answer there. It's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back with Gutekunst. What about the Vikings game coming up? How confident are you in this matchup?
I feel pretty confident because I'm not alone in saying just like J.J. McCarthy is one of the worst sort of quarterback debuts we've seen since maybe Zach Wilson, right? Like it's been a while since we really hit like a dud. And I'm not saying you can't turn around, but it's bad. It's like, it's really bad for J.J. McCarthy and Vikings fans. Everyone knows it. It's not hard to see. Like, he's missing guys left and right.
Yeah.
I feel pretty confident.
Yeah. And they don't have like a great run game. And even when they do run the ball, it feels like O'Connell's been like just wanting to pass the ball anyway. So I feel like that's how you beat the defense. So yeah, I think get on track with a win, and then that Lions game is going to be major. Can't wait.
Yeah, that's the basically division title. Or should be if they can take.
Do you? All right. Let's end on this. Gun to your head. Do you think they win the division?
I think so. Yes. I think they just are the best team in the division, and I think when Jaden Reed comes back, you'll just see a much more explosive offense, much more consistent offense, and I just don't think the Lions are, and now they're going to get back healthy themselves. So they are banged up right now, which isn't helping. But I think they just have more obvious weaknesses. And I think they miss Ben Johnson, quite frankly. I just don't think. Yeah. And we've seen it. The luster on this offense has lost a good amount of shine.
Yeah. When they're not going against a bad defense, it's like they've definitely had some issues finding answers. I think the winner of Thanksgiving gets the division. But I think the Packers can win that game. They've shown they match up really well against Detroit lately. So I guess I'd take Green Bay, but I do think the Bears probably win about 2 more games the rest of the year with that schedule.
They have a tough schedule, and they're just I mean, they've gotten by in the skin of their teeth. They could so very easily be 5-5, 3-7. Wouldn't even surprise anyone.
Bears fans think I hate them this year. It's like, you just happen to be the team this year that just wins all these tiny, tight, close games. It's like, it is what it is. All right, Renner, that was a ton of fun. Really thankful for the download on the draft class. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Where can people find your work right now?
You can find me on X at Mike Renner _ or tune in the Push in the Pile podcast. It's an NFL, not really draft, but we're touching on more draft as the season goes along. So make sure to check me out there.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on.